Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the beautiful city of Gardena. Thank you all for coming out for our town hall today. My name is Muratsuchi, and I have the privilege of representing Gardena together with my colleague in the Assembly, Tina McKinnon. I have Gardena going up to Rosecrans, and she has Gardena north of Rosecrans. Happy to see a full house, almost a full house here today. I'm here to, number one, listen to all of your concerns, your issues. I'm going to start off by giving a brief overview of what's been happening in the state of California, what I've been working on, but the bulk of the time is for me to listen and learn from all of you. I understand, in particular, there's a lot of folks from the El Camino Village that are concerned about the major development being proposed. And so, I just started talking to the gentleman in the Yankees cap. I told him he's got the wrong hair. Dodgers, but yes, I told him that I want to make sure that I listen and learn from all of your concerns, and we'll see how we can work together to try to address your concerns. So, first of all, we just wrapped up our legislative session for the year, getting ready for, perhaps the most important election in our lifetime. I'm not going to get partisan here. This is not what we're here for. But all I have to say is please make sure to vote. There is a lot that's critical on this ballot, not just about who the next president of our nation is going to be, but many, especially a lot of important propositions on this ballot coming up. And I'll be touching on some of the ballot propositions and why
he's the sheriff's deputy.
So, first of all, California continues to lead the country and the world as the center of the innovation economy. We are not only home to companies like Apple, Google, and lately our latest big high-tech company that is made a lot of people rich is NVIDIA. Great California dream story about how this immigrant from Taiwan came to the United States. He worked at a Denny's when he was 15 years old, and eventually built up this company, NVIDIA, that is at the forefront of this next big revolution that's going to be affecting many of our lives, in ways hopefully more for the better than for the worse. And like a lot of us, we recognize that with all these big innovation developments, it has a huge impact on our lives. But at the same time, we want to make sure that it's done responsibly. It's done in a way that it's not hurting people. There's a lot of concerns about AI, like automating jobs, eliminating jobs, and so we're right in the thick of a lot of those discussions in the legislature as to how do we continue to lead the nation and the world, as the center of the innovation economy, at the same time protecting Californians, making sure that it works for us rather than against us. But of course, we're not only the home of these leading innovative companies, but we are also home to some of the biggest challenges that we have in the entire country. I'm not going to gloss over the harsh realities that we're all facing. That California is an expensive place to live. We have one of the highest poverty rates in the country, and we have one of the largest homeless populations in the country. The issue of homelessness, I know, is affecting all of our communities, and we can. I'll talk more about some of the specific bills that we've been working on to try to address the issue of homelessness. But it is clearly homelessness and the directly related issue of affordable housing, which, you know, I believe is at least part of the discussion about what is happening in El Camino Village, is something that I'd like to touch upon. Three particular issue areas that I just wanted to briefly acknowledge before I open up for questions, comments, concerns. Number one, you know, my big passion, my main priority as your state representative is education. I was just at Chapman Elementary School in Gardena yesterday morning with Eric Ponce, who, by the way, Eric Ponce is your field representative representing Gardena. So anytime you have any concerns, issues, I understand you went to the El Camino Village meeting.
No, it's this coming Thursday.
It's coming Thursday, okay. Yeah, and so I want to make sure that you either reach out to me or to Eric to address your concerns. While I'm at it, I also wanted to acknowledge our South Bay District Office is headed by our District Director, Melissa Ramosa, in the back. And we also have we just stepped out. They are, you know, our South Bay office located in Torrance, which is the middle of my assembly. We are here to assist and serve you. Education. So Chapman Elementary. I mean, it was just, you know, I felt like our visit to Chapman Elementary really captures, you know, what makes Gardena so great, this community so great, because it's a you know, among other things, it's a Mandarin immersion school, you know, you know, just going to the classroom and seeing like, you know, African American kids, Latino kids, and Asian kids speaking Mandarin, you know, it's like, wow, that's Gardena, you know, that's making diversity work, you know, as the chair of the Assembly Education Committee, you know, I've been championing public education because I believe that. I'm a true believer in public education, you know, and it continues to be the best way to promote equal opportunity for all kids, you know, regardless of who you are, where you live, and I'm going to continue to champion public education. Talking about this upcoming ballot, one of my top priorities this year is Proposition 2. You know, I know that I can't campaign here, so I'm not going to tell you how to vote on Proposition 2. But I just wanted to highlight that Proposition 2 is a statewide school bond that if California voters pass it, it's going to provide matching dollars to local school districts, you know, to fix your schools and to modernize them to meet 21st century educational needs. I mean, Chapman Elementary School is a perfect example. It's a school that just celebrated its 100-year anniversary last year, you know, and you know there are all these great black and white photos about, you know, the kids from Chapman from 100 years ago, and you know, very different demographics, but you know, it just shows the rich history of Gardena and how, you know, we need to continue to invest in, you know, basic infrastructure like our schools. So that we're continuing to invest in our kids, in our communities. So Proposition 2 would provide matching dollars without raising taxes. That's an important point that I want to emphasize, that the bond debt service for the statewide school bonds are paid through the general fund, and it's not, you know, it's not imposing any new taxes. So, Proposition 2,
right.
That's one, you know, very important reason to make sure to vote in this upcoming election. 2, the reason why I understand many of you are here, homelessness or housing and the related issue of homelessness. So, overall, the state of California has been making a big push to build more housing. And the basic idea is supply and demand. You know, that you know, while our state's population has more than doubled from 1980 to, you know, to today, from over 20 million back in 1980 to today, you know, just short of 40 million. the overall housing stock has not kept up with the population growth. And it's especially the case in the coastal areas where most of the jobs are being created. And that is why the governor, the legislature has been pushing and passing all these laws to try to increase the supply of housing, to build more housing. Now, at the same time, I, as your South Bay representative, I've been fighting to preserve local control, because I believe that, I used to serve on the Torrance Planning Commission, and I know that whenever there's a proposal for building new condos or new apartments, that it needs to be balanced responsibly. With any new development needs to be harmonized with the existing community. We need to make sure that there is parking, so that folks are not just parking out in the streets, but that they should be able to. Any new development should accommodate for the impacts on our schools, on our sewer system, our public safety system, parking, traffic. Of course, one of the big concerns. And so, so I've been a big proponent not only of promoting especially more affordable housing, but at the same time in a way that is done responsibly. And so I understand that this proposal in El Camino Village, there's a lot of concerns about whether that is being proposed responsibly. But the reason why this is so critical is not only, for a lot of the young folks in the room. I'm hearing from Gardena down to Palos Verdes, that people that grow up in your communities, they're losing any hope of achieving the American dream, the California dream, of being able to someday buy their own home and be able to live in the community that they grew up in. And so, it's with these competing desires of wanting to build more housing so that current and future generations can aspire to the American dream of someday being able to buy their home. That is the basic motivation behind this push to build more housing. The other reason why the push to build more housing is urgent is because it's directly related to the issue of homelessness. We know, I was just in Torrance yesterday, hearing about their concerns about growing homeless populations, but we're seeing that throughout the state of California, especially in or near our big urban cities. And while it's complicated, the homeless crisis has been decades in the making. Again, it's the number one reason, if you talk to all the policy experts about what's driving homelessness, at its core is the affordable housing crisis. That more and more people are just one illness or one job loss away from not being able to keep up with their rent payments. They end up staying in their friends and family's couches, or too often when you combine it with issues of drug addiction or mental health on the streets. And so that is also a big reason why there's this big push to build more housing, to not only address the affordable housing affordability challenges that especially young people are dealing with, but not of course not just young people, all the folks that can't afford for housing, and with that directly being tied to homelessness. So I believe that in terms of the housing, but I want to hear from the El Camino Village folks. Before I turn it over to the audience, last issue I want to touch upon is public safety. Now, I know that public safety, the issue of public safety has been, I won't say controversial, but I say there's a lively ongoing debate about how best to make sure that our neighborhoods and our communities are safe. And especially in the last 10 years or so, in the state of California, we've been engaged in this big debate about, should it be, with stronger criminal penalties? Should we be locking up criminals for longer periods of time, like we started doing in the 1990s when we passed 3 strikes and you're out? Or, should it be, as the state of California voters passed with Proposition 47 in 2014, with, trying to emphasize, some of the core causes of a lot of the crime, if the theft is being driven by drug addiction, that we try to devote more funding toward drug treatment, so that, we're not just locking up people, but that we're trying to address the core drivers of the criminal behavior, the criminal activity. We're seeing, a lot of back and forth, and I like to say, I worked, before I was elected to the legislature, I worked both as a prosecutor and as a public defender. And so I've seen, issues of criminal justice from both sides of the court. And I've always believed that we need to like with a lot of complicated issues, we need to have a balanced approach. We need to have a balanced approach where we're holding, especially repeat criminal offenders, accountable. But for those that legitimately, if their criminal activity is being driven by drug addiction or by mental health, that we need to focus on and deliver more support through those services. In recent years, there's been a growing sense, and I've agreed with many people that have been feeling that we need to restore some accountability to try to crack down, especially on the issues of retail theft. A couple of years ago, I worked with the California Retailers Association to introduce a bill to allow for repeat retail theft offenses to be charged as a felony, so that there are more real consequences, to really try to send the message that okay, if you're poor, you're hungry, you steal food. Maybe the first time is a misdemeanor, but beyond that, we need to protect small businesses. We need to protect our communities, and restore some balance. And that's exactly what's on this upcoming ballot, Proposition 36. Proposition 36 is a measure that you can weigh in on to decide whether we should continue the path in the last couple of years that when California voters passed Proposition 47. If you want to continue to focus more on social services, drug addiction, mental health treatment, or if you want to have this targeted restoration of stronger criminal penalties, which I can't campaign for Proposition 2, I won't campaign for Prop 36. But I just want to highlight that you all have the opportunity to weigh in on this very important issue that affects your issues of public safety. So with that, happy to answer any questions.